When the 15th Amendment was passed, I felt it opened the door for women's suffrage. The 15th Amendment says that citizens of the United States shall not be denied the vote on account of race or color or previous condition of servitude. And it was really passed to ensure African Americans the right to vote, the freed slaves, that they would get the right to vote. But I felt it could also include women because are we not citizens? So it happened that I was glancing through the newspaper on November 1st in 1872, and I read these words: "Now register. If you were prohibited the vote, you would fight for the right. You would undergo all privations for it. You would face death for it." I was ready to act. So I put on my bonnet and my coat, and I told my three sisters what my intentions were, and I invited them to join me. And we walked briskly to the barber shop, which is where the people of our ward were registering. And upon entering that stronghold of men, I boldly announced my desire to register. Well, the inspector tried to convince me that I was not allowed to do that under New York state law, and I informed him that I was registering under the laws of the federal government. So after much dispute, he finally allowed us to register. On election day, November 5, I wrote my dear friend Elizabeth to report the event. I've gone and done it. I positively voted the Republican ticket. Well, there was much ado about my voting in newspapers all across the country. And then all was silent for about 2 weeks, until on November 18, a U.S. Deputy Marshal rang our doorbell and placed me under arrest. I was charged with violation of an act of Congress that had been passed to prevent Southern rebels from voting. And that act said that if you voted knowingly without having the legal right to vote, you had committed a crime. Well, I had not expected this. The deputy marshal suggested that I appear the next morning in front of the U.S. Commissioner of my own volition. But I said, "No, you must take me in." And I held up my wrists for handcuffs. Well, he dismissed that gesture. However, when we boarded the streetcar and I was asked for fare, I loudly proclaimed, "I am traveling at the expense of the United States government, and this gentleman is escorting me to jail. Let him pay my fare." After an overnight in jail, I appeared before the commissioner, who set my bail at $1,000, and I refused to pay. Because my motto is, yes. Rather than let that act of Congress that got me arrested discourage me, I devised a strategy to get my case all the way to the United States Supreme Court. There, I could argue my interpretation of the 15th Amendment. By going to prison, which I was willing to do, I could depend on a writ of habeas corpus, which simply means to produce the body. And that writ would allow me to get to the highest court in the land. However, do you ever hear the expression, best intentions? My attorney